Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel startuplanes.com. I am More Tanvi and these are the series of interviews that we are conducting for the promotion of some excellent startups across our country. Now the question is that why you should see this interview. You should see this interview if you are a job seeker, if you want to invest in startup, if you want to know merits and demerits of some startups of your sector. Also, there are two kinds of people, one who get educated by studying and the other who learn from experience. So let's know more about such wonderful experiences from our CEOs. For today's interview, we have Mr. Vikas, who is the CEO of Bibo. His brand is working to disrupt the consumer health products market, which is OTC Pharma, which is $5 billion plus market in India. Idea is to work with rightly priced premium products under category brands. With first brand, Bibo launched 16 months back, they have achieved rupees 2 crores in GMV. Bibo caters to respiratory products and currently have 5 products for common cough and cold. With good reviews and consumer feedback, they plan to grow faster after raising current round of funding and also add more products. Let's know more about this freshly started startup from Vikas himself. Good afternoon, sir. I am More Tanvi from Startup Lanes and we are very grateful to have you on the board for this interview.
Great, thank you Tanvi. Good afternoon. Hope you are doing well.
Yes, I am doing well. So sir, I request you to please introduce yourself to our viewers.
Sure. So, I am Vikas. I am founder of Hilt Brands, which is a consumer healthcare product company. Bibo is our flagship brand. So the logo which you are able to see here is of Bibo, which is our flagship brand. Bibo represents breathe in, breathe out. So it's a brand for products for respiratory care. So people who have common cough and cold or people who have chronic problems of asthma or sinus, they all can use our products for a better life, for a better effectiveness, better immunity.
Yeah.
So that's what we are.
Okay, great. So my very first question to you is that how did you come up with this idea of startup?
Yeah, Tanvi, so I was into investment banking before starting Hilt Brands. So, and I used to primarily advise companies in pharma and healthcare domain. So my work required me to visit factories, facilities, to meet pharma companies, their promoters, owners, CXOs and all. So I kind of spent about 4 or 5 years in that kind of environment, wherein I would be like visiting a pharma factory every week or sometimes like 10 factories in a month, just to understand what's the business about, and then accordingly as per the business potential we would raise money for these clients or we would kind of go for M&A transactions or some other transactions. So what I was quite taken aback by seeing that there is so much disparity between the plants which make medicines for India and the plants which make vaccines for US. There is something called US FDA, which is the regulatory authority of US government. So their criteria are very strict, they are very peculiar in terms of quality management, testing, sampling, etc. Whereas Indian authorities are not as much strict about all these things. So the difference is very stark. It's like 5-star hotel versus 1-star hotel. So that is the kind of difference you will see in the facilities. Whereas the price which we pay for these products is not that different. Like for a premium soap, whatever you pay in India, you can get a soap for a cheaper price in US. For a premium medicine, anything where the price control rules are not applied, none of the medicines are like very cheap in India. Like these days you are seeing, right, amphotericin injection, which is used for black fungus, is being sold for about 8,000 rupees per doses, and some people are there who have to buy 200 such doses. So that is the kind of pricing. It's not really cheap. India is not a cheap market as such, but people make cheap products for the country. So which is something which I did not like, and I decided to launch something different, something better. So that's how the idea erupted, that we wanted to launch premium OTC products, premium over-the-counter medicine products for Indian market, which will be equivalent in quality to Western markets, but still be affordable for people. So our products are a little premium to the other mass brands, but it's better in quality, effectiveness, and also, and we charge a little premium for it. We don't really go for 4x, 5x pricing of the competition products.
Okay, great. So next I wanted to ask that what are the difficulties that you faced in the early stage of the journey?
Yeah. So see, initially it was mainly we get good partners, having experience in the industry. I knew people around, I knew how to set up the company, how to source products. Getting vendors and all was not that difficult. The main difficult part is getting people to work for you when you are, starting at day zero. So how to get the right people? So initially, like when we went for hiring, we hired few people just because they wanted to join us, So we could not follow entire protocol of doing a background check or doing a ref check and all that. We thought, okay, so if they are also willing to join us, let us give them opportunity. So whereas later on we had to take some decisions which were against our first hiring. So I think one major issue for us, or maybe for other startups as well, to get the first few people onboarded, whether how you get the right people onboarded. Once you are known in the market, once people are seeing your product or services in the market, then it becomes easier. So what helped me in a way that we did a little bit of PR in October 2019. So we started in September. So in October, December, November, we did a bit of PR. So that helped us a bit in terms of getting some name in the market. So that was attraction for people to come to us for hiring. So that's how we worked around it.
Okay, great. Sir, as you mentioned that you have an established market. So I wanted to know that what is the market gap that you identified?
Yeah, so see, what we noticed in the market is that for consumer products, there are a variety of options available, especially for FMCG products, for tea, for shampoo, for soaps. You have a shampoo being sold right from, I'm talking about a bottle, not just a sachet. A bottle which is being sold for even 40 rupees, and premium ones are getting sold for 500 rupees. In between, there are about 100 brands which are doing some decent business. Yeah. So that kind of approach helps brands reach out to a strata of consumer which they cater to. So let's say I make Dove shampoo, I want to target people who can spend 125 rupees to buy a shampoo from me. So I will. So that category will be my strata, which I will target. So that kind of segmentation is not there on the pharma side. So everyone is doing a very Me Too play. You take any company, be it Dr. Reddy's or be it Alchem, GSK, anyone in India, all those who are doing, who are selling OTC products, all their products are very similar. They look very similar. They're priced at a similar range, and neither I think they want to kind of create a differentiated brand because their business is so vast that they don't really want to spend one little extra effort for one or two brands, So that's where I saw the gap, that there is a possibility to create premium brand in OTC, in consumer discretionary pharma segment. So that's what we have done, and we are doing well as of now with our first brand.
Yeah. Sir, we have talked about the market, we have talked about the services. So next I want to know that what is your business model? Can you explain that in detail?
Yeah, sure. So our business model is mainly, we are a brands house, So our main job is to market and sell. So that's our primary job. But of course, it can't be done unless we have the whole ecosystem around. So we have reputed vendors who work with us. We have one vendor called Inerso Laboratories, which is there in Delhi. Another one in NCR called Surya Herbal. So they are all reputed pharma and Ayurveda manufacturers who work with other leading brands. So we chose to work with only these people who have good name in the market. Otherwise, we will have to spend extra effort in going and getting everything done on our own. Whereas if we have trustworthy, reliable vendors who are known to provide good products in the market, it becomes easier to do that, even if it costs us a little more, right? So we have few vendors who make products for us. We have our own warehouse, central warehouse in Bangalore. And from here, we work in two models. One is offline, the other is online. So offline sales happen from chemist shops. So we have a coverage of about 700 outlets in Bangalore, either direct or through our distributors. And we also have online sales on Amazon, Flipkart, PharmEasy, Netmeds, etc. So then our own website as well. So we sell online, offline both. We source from outside vendors.
Yeah, great. So next I would like to know that did your friends and family help you funding in the initial stages?
Yeah, they did. So more of friends and some of my ex-clients. So like people with whom I work for in their deals or their companies. So they were known to me pretty well. Some of them I used to meet quite often with my clients and all. So some of my ex-clients have funded me. Some of my friends and ex-colleagues also have funded me. So I've raised about 1 crore so far from this, angel investment round.
Yeah, great. So I want to know that have you ever approached the investors, and if yes, then how did you approach them?
So we spoke to a few VCs whom I knew personally from my investment banking days, and so all these are personal connects. And apart from that, we are working with our ventures right now to raise a round. So we are working with them to raise $500,000 currently. So all that is done by our ventures team.
Okay. Sir, as you know that we are going through this uncertain pandemic since a year almost. So I would like to know that what are the other factors you see impacting your business in a positive or negative way?
Sure. Yeah, I understand. Yeah. So before that, I'll also explain to you like how did we respond to COVID, because we launched our products in January 2020. So we were very young, like we were only 2 months old when pandemic hit, and it was a kind of sudden setback for us, because see we are very new, right? It's been only 2 months that we have started selling products. We are meeting other stakeholders. We are forming our team. We are trying to go more aggressive, and suddenly everything is locked down. Yeah. So, and we also sensed it a bit, like in March first week, we sensed that some significant steps could be taken. So, in fact, we sent our 2 sales guys off field even 1 week before the lockdown was announced. I think 5 days before the Janata curfew was announced. Yeah. So we were also cautious. I mean, we also did not want our few people to fall sick. So we thought, but we did not expect that it will be so long, by the way. We never expected that COVID will stay for 1 year to it. We thought that in 3-4 months things will be better. Then we will anyway have these people back into their, sales jobs. Yeah. So we sent them home. So there was nobody on the field to sell. Online as well, there was a big disruption because lockdown was announced all of a sudden. Yeah. So there was no courier. For first 2-3 weeks, there was no courier happening. Mm-hmm. So there was a big issue in terms of both online and offline sales stopping suddenly. So then what happened that we recognized sanitizers as an opportunity. I mean, many people did that, of course, but since we are into respiratory care, COVID is also a respiratory syndrome. Yeah. And sanitizers help prevent COVID, right? So in a way, we were related to it. So we launched Vivo Fighter range of sanitizers. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah. Yes. Vivo Fighter range of sanitizers in April 2020, in mid of April. So we did a good business in sanitizers. We sold more than 2 lakh bottles, and I think more than 1,000 outlets in Bangalore were selling our sanitizers. We formed some very strong tie-ups with some distributors and all, and we were able to use this opportunity as a brand disruption rather than getting idle, not doing anything for 2-3 months. We thought, let us do something, and we got some good quality products made and made this, made something out of it as a brand disruption with more than 2 lakh people using our product. Okay. While we made some small profit as well.
Yeah, great. So sir, as you mentioned that you have started in January 2020. So are you planning to have talent? Are you planning to hire fresh talents in your business?
Yeah, we do. So we are right now looking to build our online team much stronger. So we are looking to hire few people for data science and a couple of people for web development to bring a lot of upgradation to the website. So more on the tech side. Hiring will be more focused on the tech side.
Yeah, continue.
Yeah. Sorry, you asked something?
Yes, I said that what are the traits you are looking for?
So, see, main traits we look for is ownership and drive, because in a startup, we can't give a 5-point JD, that this is your JD which you have to work on. Mm-hmm. We want people who can come and understand the broad requirement, from the market perspective. And then they should be able to develop something around it. We are always ready to discuss, 24/7, we are ready to discuss stuff and all, but we want people who can come with some drive, someone who can take ownership of a project rather than just delivering their portion out of it.
Sir, as I know that you are a recently newly launched startup, so I would like to know, would you able to discuss the milestones that you have achieved?
Yeah, see, milestone-wise, we have, so in March, we achieved 300,000 brand users. So there are more than 3.5 lakh pieces, 3 lakh pieces of, products which we have sold so far. So we have been able to get 300,000 customers. Some people may have taken 2 or 3 products as well, but let's say at least 2.5 lakh people have used our product. So that is a big milestone on its own. I don't think any other online brand company would have done this by raising just 1 crore. I don't think so. so easy for anybody else, which we have performed. Secondly, we have been able to form some very strong tie-ups. So like we had Ascent Health World as our distributor for sanitizers, which is India's largest distributor. They have about 80,000 outlets reach pan-India, and they are by far the largest. Nobody has such kind of might around pharma distribution. We also have Amazon B2B, which is Amazon's B2B distribution arm in Bangalore. They are doing a pilot in Bangalore, and we are working with them to understand how they can help us in distribution in Bangalore as well. So then we also work with Paytm to offer Paytm cashback. If you can see, there is a Paytm sticker on the product, right? So we also work with Paytm to offer Paytm cashback on our products, which helped us in offline markets wherein consumers could see this as a brand association of a large brand with Bebo, so which helped them kind of accept the product at a faster pace. So these are some of the major milestones. One is the so many people which we have converted as our customers, plus strong tie-ups, and in about 13-14 months from the launch, we have crossed 2 crores in GMV. So that is another major milestone.
Okay. So nextly, that as you know, our viewers are laymen. They don't know much about our product or your product. So I would like to ask you that what, how can you differentiate your products from already existing products?
Yeah, so see, we approach the market in a way that we first understand what is the issues in the market. What are the shortcomings of the market. So let's say when we launched something for respiratory care, we looked at the current offerings. So whatever current brands are there, we look at their offerings and what is the shortcomings. So for example, most of the vapor rubs which is there in the market, they use petroleum jelly as base ointment. So petroleum jelly is something which is a mineral oil at the end of the day. It's basically if petroleum jelly is not refined one grade further, it is grease which is used in automobiles as lubricant, right? So it is not something which is so recommended to be used for skin, and even if you use for skin, for respiratory care, it's not really that recommended. In fact, there are few researches which have been published which says that by inhaling or ingesting petroleum jelly, people have developed a strange kind of pneumonia called lipid pneumonia.
Okay.
So much research which has been done already, but still brands keep selling the same stuff in the market. So that's where we approach the market with a fully differentiated product with an entirely 100% natural base. There is no mineral oils, no parabens, very safe for babies and kids. So that's how we differentiated. When it came to nasal sprays, everyone is selling a saline nasal spray, which is a very standard product. I mean, somebody can make saline nasal spray at home as well. Just mixed a bit of salt in water, you get it, right? So what we did is that we launched saline nasal spray fortified with tulsi, so which makes it more potent against bacterial and viral infections. It also increases immunity and gives a much more refreshing feel compared to a regular saline spray. So that's how we approach the market. We look at the current products and see what's the gaps are, how do we fill that, and then create an aspirational brand around it. And everything is sold under one category brand. So somebody who is coming to buy one nasal spray will also be exposed to other products on the platform, and maybe I'll be able to cross-sell 1 or 2 more products to him. So that is another benefit of having a category brand.
Okay. So nextly, I would like you to describe a time where you had to make tough decisions, for example, budget cuts or organizational restructure, etc.
Yeah, so of course these things are part and parcel with startup. We have to keep doing that, otherwise either we will become very slow or we will kind of have to simply vanish in no time if we are not dynamic to take these decisions. So we did that. We had to send few people on long leaves during the pandemic. We had to ask few people to move on as well. So most of these decisions have been around team and cutting cost. Otherwise, I think on the progression side or on the products or business side, we have been going smooth. We have been going well.
Okay. Sir, as compared to 2020, we are a little more working smoothly. So I would like to know, what did you do for those decisions and what are the results now?
Yeah, so we always kept taking signals from the market. So for example, I'll give you one example of offline stores. So what happens that we chose Bangalore as a pilot because Bangalore has a much younger crowd, more cosmopolitan, and a market where people often try new brands or new products. It's a market which many startups have chosen as their pilot. Even Ola was launched in Bangalore. Many other brands were launched in Bangalore first.
Yeah.
So we chose Bangalore market as our first market for these reasons. But again, at the same time, this is a market which is mostly dominated by ITES crowd, which work in outsourcing environment. So when COVID happened, most people started working from home. Right, so Bangalore, I think working from home percentage will be highest in Bangalore. And now that people started working from home, they, after staying here up to June, July last year, they thought, what is the point in staying in Bangalore if I'm going to work from home and paying rent? So everyone went to hometown. And with strong 4G connectivity, people are even able to work from their villages now. Even Karnataka's who are from Karnataka, they also moved to their hometowns like Davangere and Gulbarga and all. They started working from there. So not only North Indians, everybody went to their hometowns or villages to work. So Bangalore became full of toilet boards. It's a city. Many areas have become kind of ghost city these days. So that our whole decision to pilot in Bangalore backfired a bit because of these reasons. But again, we worked on it. So we thought, of course, we can't accept this and sit idle, right? So we worked on it. We started talking to people who walk into the outlets. Even if footfalls are half of last year or less than half in some outlets. So our boys stopped doing primary sales. We started doing only secondary sales focus with our boys sitting in the outlets talking to inbound customers. So that helped us getting some traction in terms of sales, and we got good repeat purchases from these outlets. So that's what we did, in terms of response to this. And on the online side, we saw that courier and all is becoming a frequent issue, because of outlets. So it's always better if you are serviced by Amazon, so that their warehouses are never shut down; they are always active. Whereas our office falls in containment zone sometimes, and then suddenly the courier pickup will stop, right? So we send significant stocks to the warehouse before the second wave hit, so that we can take advantage of spikes in orders, right? So our orders in April and May went about 3 to 4 times March because of spike during lockdown. So we took advantage because we had earlier learning of suffering with courier and all that. So we were able to preempt this time.
Sir, nextly I would like to ask you that as you mentioned before, you are working online and offline as well, and now you are getting a boom to your products and services. So I would like to know that do you want to hire vendors to simplify any part of your business?
So vendors for products we already have. Then whatever for operations, we mainly use platforms. So we use like Google and Facebook for promotions. We use Amazon for sales. We already have few vendors for software for our field sales team. So as of now, we are not looking at any immediate vendors, but maybe if I may need something, I'll let you know.
Yeah. So lastly, I would like to know that what are your recent and long-term plans for your business?
Yeah. So Hilt Brands is not just about Vivo. So we want to grow much beyond. So idea is to build category brands. So Vivo is a category brand for cough and cold, sinus, asthma, and all kind of respiratory problems. Then we will have a category brand for gastro. We would have a category brand for pain management. We may have a category brand for dental products. So the idea is to build more categories as we grow and build Hilt Brand as a strong OTC platform. So our overall vision is to reach 1,100 crore sales in 6 years from now, with 4 category brands and about 50 products in the basket. So we are working towards that. As of now, we have 1 brand and 5 products. Next year, we have target to add 1 more brand after raising Series A funds and reach about 15 products or so under 2 category brands. And as we grow, we will kind of add more from there on. And also in offline markets, we will continue to have a very curated approach, very targeted approach to limited number of outlets and enter other major cities of Bombay, Delhi, and other large cities. Online, we will continue to focus on platforms plus our own website.
So great. So lastly, I would like you to say something to our viewers or your viewers, please.
No, I would say stay safe. I mean, it's been very challenging times. So stay safe, keep taking precautions, and try Vivo for your, better first natural health.
Sure. Sir, thank you so much for your time and for your crucial words. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tanvi. Thank you. Take care. Bye.